Welcome to Factual America, where we break down the headlines you care about with cold, hard facts and daring analysis. Today's episode is one that touches every single American. Whether you're on the right or the left, rich or poor, public servant or private citizen, we're diving deep into the next chapter of government overreach, a chapter some are calling the Patriot Act 2.0. Is Big Brother back? And is he bigger than ever? Let's find out. Remember the original Patriot Act? Passed in the panic. After September 11th, it gave the government sweeping surveillance powers, claiming it was necessary to keep us safe from terrorism. Fast forward 2 decades. Some of those provisions expired, some stayed on the books, and others mutated into new forms. But now, behind closed doors in D.C., Washington wants more. This time they claim it's not just about foreign threats. This time, they say they need to keep a closer eye on all of us. It would be easy to chalk this up to conspiracy theory, wouldn't it? But documents don't lie. Let's talk specifics. In 2024, Congress is debating several bills designed to update what they call outdated surveillance laws. Hidden in the legal jargon, provisions that quietly expand government access to every corner of your digital life, not just foreign communications, but domestic emails, text messages, even encrypted apps. Yes, those late-night group texts, those private conversations with your spouse, nothing would be truly off-limits. Some supporters say, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. But let's stop and think. Does privacy really equate to secrecy? Isn't privacy a basic American right? Our founders sure thought so and wrote the Fourth Amendment to guarantee it. Yet here we are, repeatedly sacrificing freedom for what they claim is greater security. The truth is, the Patriot Act 2.0 means the government could monitor your digital footprint without you ever knowing, and with barely any checks or balances. But let's add a twist to this story. Did you know that big tech isn't standing idle? Companies like Apple and Google publicly claim to champion user privacy, regularly clashing with the government over backdoors into their devices. But behind the scenes, mountains of metadata flow from tech firms to federal agencies every day, thanks to secret contracts and, occasionally, legal pressure no one talks about. So whose side are they really on? What exactly does Patriot Act 2.0 aim to change? Let's break it down. First, it proposes lowering the bar for the government to collect your data. No longer would they need probable cause or a traditional warrant. Instead, national security letters, issued in secret, with gag orders, could grant access to your financial records, your travel history, or even your search history. Yes, your Google search reveals more about you than you realize, and Uncle Sam could soon be watching. Second, the Patriot Act 2.0 would reauthorize roving wiretaps. That means the government wouldn't just follow a suspect's known phone number. They'd follow them across multiple devices, platforms, or even burner phones, all without traditional oversight. Imagine, for a moment, being caught up in an investigation just because you called a friend, who once called another friend who's on a watch list. Suddenly your calls and emails? Fair game. You might say, but I'm not a criminal. I have nothing to worry about. History begs to differ. From the IRS targeting political groups, to intelligence agencies questioning journalists, to local police accessing national security intelligence for low-level crimes, abuse isn't an if, but a when. With every expansion of government power, accountability gets weaker. Are you comfortable betting your personal liberty on the restraint of bureaucrats you'll never meet? Let's pivot for a second. How does this affect our daily lives? Think of the chilling effect. If you know someone could be watching, are you more likely to bite your tongue in a private conversation? Maybe you avoid researching unpopular viewpoints, or you don't join certain political groups online. That's not safety. That's self-censorship. And it's exactly what our enemies hoped for all along, a fearful, compliant populace. There's more. If you thought this was just a federal game, think again. State and local law enforcement agencies have piggybacked on federal surveillance power, joining intelligence fusion centers across the nation. Now, your local sheriff's department might have access to data collected under the guise of national security. Does your small town really need to be surveilled like a metropolis under threat? Or is this just mission creep? Let's get technical. In 2024, bulk data collection isn't limited to phone calls and text messages. The government is pushing to expand into facial recognition, license plate readers, and even your smart home devices. That Ring doorbell on your neighbor's porch? The state could tap into millions of such cameras all at once, scanning faces automatically and creating a searchable log of everyone who visits your address. Creepy or comforting, you decide. Here's where the story gets personal. Let's talk about the harm to innocent Americans. In recent years, facial recognition algorithms have misidentified people of color at an alarming rate, leading to wrongful arrests, embarrassing questions, and worse. If surveillance expands unchecked, so do the risks of error, and the victims are real people. Is that a price we're willing to pay for a little extra security in a country founded on liberty? Let's bring it back to history for a twist. Americans have always feared the government getting too powerful. That's why we have a constitution, checks and balances, and a culture of rebellion. But ironically, the threat now doesn't come in a flurry of dramatic headlines. It trickles down in the fine print of security bills and one-time emergencies, all sold with the best intentions. The road to government overreach? It's not paved in crisis, but in complacency. Let's not forget about FISA, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. It was designed for, well, foreign targets. But thanks to legal loopholes, incidental collection lets American communications get swept up too. No warrant, no notification, just your calls and emails sitting in a massive government database. And if this Patriot Act 2.0 proceeds, those loopholes could become express highways. But here's the twist you don't see coming. The Patriot Act 2.0 isn't just a Republican or Democrat issue. Across the spectrum, true civil libertarians are joining forces, warning that unchecked surveillance endangers everyone. Some of the most unlikely political allies are testifying on Capitol Hill, demanding safeguards and saying, "Not in my America." Maybe this is the moment where left and right can put aside their differences to protect freedom. Now, you might be wondering, why do politicians keep pushing more surveillance? Sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's lobbying, but sometimes it's just bureaucratic inertia. Powers once granted are rarely given up. What started as an emergency response to 9/11 is now woven into the very fabric of how government runs. To roll it back requires more than a vote. It requires public outcry, informed debate, and most of all, courage. But, as always, there's hope. Time and again, the American people have pushed back when liberty is threatened. Whistleblowers, journalists, and ordinary citizens have forced transparency and demanded reform. But democracy only works if we're paying attention and demanding answers. Each time we speak out, write our representatives, or simply say, "No, not this time," we strengthen the backbone of our nation. To sum it up, the so-called Patriot Act 2.0 isn't about keeping us safe. It's about shifting the balance between the people and the powerful, bit by unnoticed bit. Vigilance is the price of freedom, and your voice may be the only thing standing between personal liberty and the quiet slide toward total surveillance. If you value your privacy, now's the time to get involved. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think the Patriot Act 2.0 crosses the line? Or is it a necessary update for dangerous times? Where should we draw the boundary between security and freedom? Drop your opinions in the comments below. Let's get the conversation going. And don't forget to tell us, what topics do you want Factual America to tackle next? Social media censorship, government overreach, digital freedom? This channel is all about your questions and the stories that matter to you. Subscribe, share, and let's defend liberty together.